She ran into the river without thinking. The current was stronger than anyone expected. Water slammed against the wooden canoe, spilling over the edges as villagers screamed from the riverbank. The rope had snapped. The boat carrying the chief's grandson was drifting straight toward the rocks. And before anyone could stop her, Amina jumped. Cold water swallowed her whole. For a moment, she could hear nothing except the roaring river in her ears and her own heartbeat pounding like a drum during festival season. She kicked hard. "Amina!" someone shouted from the shore, but she did not look back. All she could see was the frightened boy clinging to the side of the canoe, crying for his mother. Amina pushed forward, arms burning, lungs screaming for air. She grabbed the canoe just as it struck a rock, pulling herself up with desperate strength. "Don't cry," she said, forcing calm into her voice. "I'm here." Her fingers shook as she untaught the tangled rope. Then she began guiding the canoe toward calmer water, kicking against the current with everything she had left. By the time villagers pulled them onto the shore, Amina collapsed onto the sand, coughing water, her thin body trembling from exhaustion. The chief himself pushed through the crowd. "You saved my grandson," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. Amina lowered her eyes. Anyone else would have felt proud. But Amina only thought about one thing. If she had died, who would take care of her mother? Amina lived in the poorest part of the village, in a mud hut with a leaking roof and cracked walls. Her father had died when she was 9, leaving her mother sick and weak. From that day, Amina became both daughter and provider. She woke before sunrise to fetch water, worked on farms that were not hers, carried firewood heavier than her own body. After school, she sold roasted groundnuts by the roadside just to buy food for the night. Hunger was not a stranger to her, but neither was dignity. Her best friend, Zuri, often walked beside her. They had grown up together, suffered together, laughed together. But slowly, their hearts began to choose different directions. "Why do you suffer like this?" Zuri would complain. "There are easier ways to survive." Amina would smile softly. "My mother says, what you earn honestly stays, what you steal disappears." Zuri would roll her eyes. "The world has changed," she said. And slowly, Zuri began changing too. She started skipping school, spending time with older girls who suddenly had expensive clothes and new phones, even though nobody knew where the money came from. One evening, Zuri came to Amina with excitement in her eyes. She whispered, "I found a way for us to make money." Amina found. What kind of way? Zuri hesitated, then spoke quietly. "There's a man in the next town. He gives gifts, money, if girls visit him." Amina stepped back immediately. "No." Zuri grabbed her arm. "Just once, we could fix your roof, buy medicine for your mother. You wouldn't suffer anymore." For a moment, temptation whispered inside Amina's heart. She imagined her mother sleeping on a proper bed, imagined never going hungry again. But then, she remembered her father's words before he died. Poverty is painful, but shame is heavier. Amina shook her head firmly. "I can't." Zuri's face hardened. "You think you are better than me?" "No, I just want to do things the right way." Zuri pulled her hand away. "You will regret this." That was the day their friendship began to break. After Amina saved the chief's grandson, something unexpected happened. The chief called her family to the compound. Villagers gathered, whispering. Amina stood nervously beside her mother, unsure why they were summoned. Then the chief spoke loudly so everyone could hear. "This girl risked her life for my family. Courage like this must not be unnoticed." He paused. "I will sponsor her education from today until university." The crowd gasped. Amina froze. Education beyond secondary school was a dream she never allowed herself to imagine. Her mother burst into tears. "May God bless you," she cried. Amina's knees almost gave way. Her life had changed in a single moment. When Zuri heard the news, she did not celebrate. She burned with jealousy. "You think you are special now?" she said coldly. Amina reached for her hand. "I just want us both to succeed." Zuri laughed bitterly. "You chose suffering, I chose enjoyment. Let's see who wins." And from that moment, Zuri drifted deeper into dangerous choices. Fast money, late nights, strange men. While Amina studied under kerosene light, Zuri chased temporary comfort. Years passed. Amina worked harder than anyone in her class. She graduated at the top of her school, then university, then nursing school. Her mother's health improved with proper treatment. Their leaking roof became a solid house. The poor girl who once sold groundnuts became Nurse Amina, respected across the community. But success did not change her heart. She still helped neighbors, still greeted elders with respect, still shared food with those in need. One evening, as Amina finished her hospital shift, she heard nurses whispering, "Another case from the city, young woman, complications." Amina looked at the patient chart. Her heart stopped. Zuri. She rushed into the ward. Her best friend lay weak, pale, barely conscious. Years of reckless living had caught up with her. When Zuri opened her eyes and saw Amina in a nurse uniform, tears rolled down her cheeks. "You made it," Zuri whispered. Amina held her hand gently. "We both could have." Zuri cried silently. "I thought shortcuts were faster, but they destroyed me." Amina stayed beside her all night, but before dawn, Zuri was gone. Amina wept like she had lost a sister, because she had. Grief does not always come loudly. Sometimes it sits quietly inside the heart. For weeks, Amina moved through life like someone walking inside a dream. One evening, her mother held her hand and said softly, "My child, you cannot save people from the choices they insist on making." Those words stayed with her, and slowly she began to heal. Instead of letting pain break her, she turned it into purpose. She began visiting schools, talking to girls about education, about self-worth, about patience, about dangerous shortcuts. At first, only a few listened, but soon her story spread. Communities invited her, parents called her, people started calling her the daughter of hope. At the hospital, a new doctor arrived. His name was Daniel. He noticed things others ignored: how Amina stayed after shifts to comfort patients, how she bought food for those who couldn't afford meals. One day he asked her, "Why do you do so much for everyone?" Amina smiled gently. "Because I know what it feels like when nobody helps you." Daniel never forgot that answer. Their friendship grew slowly. Conversations, laughter, long walks after work, until one evening he stopped walking and said softly, "I want to be part of your life." For the first time, Amina allowed herself to imagine love. But Daniel's family resisted. "A village girl?" her mother said sharply. Status mattered to them, not character. Instead of arguing, Daniel brought them to the village. They saw how people respected Amina, how children ran to hug her, how elders prayed blessings over her. That night, her mother asked quietly, "Why do people love you so much?" Amina answered simply, "I treat people the way I wish someone treated me when life was hard." That answer changed everything. Their wedding was simple but joyful. The entire village celebrated. Drums, dancing, laughter. Amina's mother cried with gratitude. "My daughter suffered, but God did not forget her." Marriage brought new blessings. Together, Daniel and Amina started a foundation for girls' education. 10 students became dozens. Dozens became hundreds. One day, a pregnant teenager arrived crying, rejected by her family. Amina saw Zuri in her eyes. Instead of judgment, she offered help. In that moment, Amina understood something deeply. Her pain had become someone's rescue. Years later, she gave birth to a daughter. Holding the baby, she cried with gratitude. "You will never know the hunger I knew," she whispered. Daniel kissed her forehead. "You changed your destiny." Amina smiled softly. "No, I changed my choices." One morning, government officials arrived unexpectedly. They announced she would receive a national award for empowering young girls. The poor girl who once sold groundnuts by the roadside was now recognized across the country. Standing on that stage, memories flooded her mind. The river, the hunger, Zuri, her mother's struggles, and she realized nothing in her life was wasted. Even pain had purpose. Years later, she visited Zuri's grave. She placed fresh flowers gently. "I wish you were here to see everything," she whispered. A soft breeze passed through the trees, and for the first time, she felt peace. The truth is simple. Your past does not define your future. Your environment does not limit your destiny. And other people's choices do not control your path. Good character will open doors that money cannot. Pain can become purpose if you allow it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to support. Like this video. Comment where you are watching from and the lesson you learned. Share this story with someone who needs encouragement today. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next powerful story. Your support keeps these stories alive.